Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, and I'm here reacting to the news that Anthony Cacace will face Leigh Wood in a battle of former world champions on May 10th at the Nottingham Arena in Nottingham, England. This comes just days after the news that Anthony Cacace released to say that he'd be relinquishing his IBF Super Featherweight title in order to chase more lucrative fights instead of a mandated fight against Eduardo Sugar Nunes. So yeah, I'll be reacting to the news of Anthony Cacace vacating and also what I think of the Leigh Wood fight. But before we get into today's video, please don't forget we really appreciate it if you could hit the like button on this video if you enjoy our content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing. It'll only take 2 seconds. We really appreciate it. Follow us on all social media. There's always a great stream of content coming out regularly. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into today's reaction. So yeah, as I say, Anthony Cacace released a statement a few days ago now, saying that it was an expected statement, really. You know, we knew that this was coming, that he would vacate his IBF Featherweight title in order to chase bigger money fights, then face his mandatory challenger Eduardo Sugar Nunes, the dangerous Eduardo Sugar Nunes. Cacace believes that he's at the stage of his career now that he's earned the right to chase these fights, um, these big money fights and set his family up the way they deserve to be. And you know what, you can't begrudge him that. I know he's a fellow Irishman, but taking that Irish bias aside, people saying that he's ducking Nunes or this and that. He doesn't want to fight Nunes, so on and so forth. You cannot begrudge Anthony Cacace for relinquishing the title and wanted to fight in bigger money fights. You really can't. I don't care what anyone says. You know, this is a man who, like his future opponent, he achieved more than most people thought he would achieve. He won British titles. He won an IBO title, but he fought as an underdog for the IBF title against the unbeaten Joe Cordina, and nobody really thought he was going to do the job. And then he went out and pulverized Cordina and won the world title when nobody really expected it. He then defended his world title in a match against Josh Warrington, a very evenly contested matchup against Josh Warrington to defend his title at Wembley Stadium. He wouldn't have imagined he would have get the fight on that stage a couple of years ago when he was delivering food to kind of subsidize his boxing income as well. That's how much he had to work to provide for his family, and now he achieved all that, and he is in a position to get these big fights for big money. He's absolutely earned it. His legacy now is cemented. He's a world champion who defended his title. Nobody can ever take that away from him. That's to go along with the Lonsdale belt that he won. He's just achieved so much in his career. So at this stage of his career, to chase those more lucrative fights, the fights for more money than he would have earned against Eduardo Sugar Nunes, who was an incredibly dangerous opponent. You cannot begrudge him that opportunity and going down that route. So, as I say, as an Irishman, bias aside, I think it was absolutely the right decision. I think he's earned the right to get these big money fights. Same with Leigh Wood. Leigh Wood deserves to have these big money fights now towards the end of his career that can provide for his family. So yeah, absolutely the correct decision in my opinion. I think, we knew it was coming. I can't begrudge him that. Like a lot of people are saying that he ducked Nunes or, whatever they want to come out with. I can't begrudge him the decision for relinquishing. The only problem I do have is the time he took to do it. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we all knew it was coming. He did take too long, in fairness, to come to that decision to vacate. We knew it was coming. It holds up the 130-pound division, the IBF landscape at 130-pound division. It holds that up. It prevents Eduardo Sugar Nunes from getting a shot earlier that he rightfully deserves. Murderous puncher, stopped every man he's been in the ring with. Insane fighter, well deserved to get a world title shot, which he will get now. Whether he's elevated to the champion status or he fights for a vacant title, he will likely become world champion and kind of get the praise that he deserves and hopefully push on to further unifications in his own right. But yeah, he's gonna get a shot now at that vacant belt, and yeah, best of luck to him. But Anthony Cacace, you cannot fault for vacating his own crown. So yeah, vacates the title and fights Leigh Wood. In a really fascinating matchup. You know, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, Leigh Wood is a similar fighter to Anthony Cacace. You know, he won British titles, he won Commonwealth titles, and then he suffered losses that, you know, a lot of people thought he was coming towards the end after a loss to Jazza Dickens. They thought that would, you know, that was it for any aspirations of world titles for Leigh Wood, and then he goes and fights Zhu Khan in Fight Camp, produces a marvelous display there to win the WBA title. You know, goes on to defend his title against Michael Conlan in that absolutely breathtaking classic where his power pulled him out, pulled one out of fire for him. You know, to get the win there in an absolute epic. So yeah, absolute credit to him. And then the cojones on him, you know, the balls on him to face such a dangerous fighter in Mauricio Lara. You know, huge punching, aggressive Mexican, you know, gets stopped in that and then goes straight back in with Lara and, you know, rights those wrongs, produces a boxing clinic really against Lara to become a two-time world champion. So, yeah, Leigh Wood, he's achieved things that nobody expected him to, you know, and he's cemented his legacy later on in his career than people expected him to, similar to Cacace. So absolute credit to Leigh Wood. Cross fought Josh Warrington for the title in another great fight. Was down in that, and the power pull went out of fire from him again when he stopped Warrington. He was losing that fight in a lot of people's eyes, but yeah, big puncher, very clever boxer. As well as a big puncher, you know, he can box, he's got quick hands, very clever. And then the power, he has that get out of jail power that's been seen time and time again. So I think he's been an active, you know, the Warrington fight was late 2023. I know he's had promotional kind of, he's become a free agent. He signed with Queensbury. But you know, it's good to see him back in the ring, especially at this stage of his career. Inactivity is a fighter's worst enemy, so great to see him back. And this is a really fascinating clash of styles between him and Anthony Cacace. As I mentioned, you have Lee Wood, very technically solid, quick hands, big puncher. You've got Anthony Cacace, of course, big, kind of broad, those broad shoulders at the weight, rangy, aggressive, fast himself, underrated puncher, you know, accurate, heavy-handed puncher himself, although his record doesn't really suggest that he's a huge puncher, but he can whack just as Joe Cordina. So I think it's a real fascinating clash, this one. Nottingham Arena, the atmosphere, we've seen it before for Leigh Wood fights, the atmosphere is unbelievable. Uh, s- some of the best atmospheres you'll ever see. Kakachi will have fans, hundreds of fans over at it as well, you'd imagine, which will just add to an electrifying night in Nottingham. If I had to pick a winner, as I mentioned, inactivity is a fighter's worst enemy, especially at this stage of their career. You know, Wood was riding that wave of momentum with the Tottenham wins, you know, bouncing back from the Lara set, back to Warrington fight. But it's died off over the past year and a half that he's been out of the ring. So I'm going for Kakachi, who's, you know, been fresher, more active, you know, more kind of confident recently. I just think he'd be too aggressive. He'll be too aggressive, he'll be too accurate, he'll be too kind of heavy-handed for Leigh Wood. But Leigh Wood, as we've said countless times in this video, the power, he's never out of a fight. He could be losing round upon round, and you know, he can pull it out of fire like he's done so many times before against the likes of Conlan and Josh Warrington. But I'm going for Anthony Cacace decision in a very entertaining fight. And yeah, who's to say he won't possibly go on to bigger money fights after that, you know, that he wants to secure for his family's future. But yeah, that's just my quick reaction to the news that Anthony Cacace will fight Leigh Wood in a battle of former world champions on May 10th at the Nottingham Arena in England after Cacace relinquishes his IBF super featherweight world title that he won last year against Joe Cordina in emphatic fashion. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, I have to say, and I respect Kakachi's decision wholeheartedly. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Who are you backing, Wood or Kakachi? How do you see it going? And yeah, what do you make of Kakachi's decision to vacate the title instead of fighting Nunes? Let us know what you think down below. And as I said at the start of the video, please don't forget, we'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button, hit the subscribe button at ESBR Box, and follow us on all social media. And yeah, until next time, speak again and take care.